Call of Duty World at War is not Call of Duty 5. The people who made this game are not Infinity Ward. It's made by Treyarch, the people who made Call of Duty 3. For anyone who is familiar with that game, you'll know it was an okay game, but it definitely wasn't near the caliber of Call of Duty 2 or subsequently later Call of Duty 4. Apart from that though, Call of Duty World at War feels a lot like a step backwards in progression with these games, which does make a little bit of sense. Obviously it's made by a different company, but the step back to World War II at first comes across as, you know, when I started playing I was thinking, why am I doing this again? However, it quickly sets itself apart from other World War II games, mainly because what you do in this game has largely been left, you know, untouched, basically. There have been a few World War II games who have touched on the Pacific theatre. These ones beforehand, like Medal of Honor, Pacific Assault, or whatever, Pacific something or other, it was a crap game, they weren't any good. Call of Duty World at War is a great game for what's there. It has some problems though. Generally speaking, it tries too hard. Now, I'll get to that a little bit later, but other than that, the game physically, as you can see, it looks great. It uses the same engine as Call of Duty 4, with some improvements. There's a lot more volumetric lighting, smoke and stuff looks a lot better, you know, just generally a better level of polish than Call of Duty 4, which is good because the same engine after a year can clearly lose some of its touch. Call of Duty 4 in its time, when it first came out, was an excellent looking game. Nowadays it still is an excellent looking game, but they've definitely done a little bit of work on the engine just to give it that little extra touch to make it feel like, you know, a new, better looking game. The story in Call of Duty World at War is, well, basically two stories, the same sort of thing you'd get in the previous Call of Duty games. You follow Private Miller of the Marine Raiders through his escapades, I guess you could say, through the Japanese islands and stuff like that. Your other character that you play as is Dmitry, I've forgotten his Russian last name, it's hard to pronounce. But other than that, it's basically the Russian campaign. Now, initially when you get to the Russian campaign, it does feel a little bit off because you definitely know this has been done before, but then apart from the first and second level in the Russian campaign, it really does step up as to quality wise. Story though, each story acts individually of itself. They don't bounce to and from each other like they did Call of Duty 4. There was references to and from in that game. There isn't in this one. It's two completely separate conflicts almost, which is good because there really wouldn't have been a good way for them to link these.
You're still in one piece! Plan's gone to shit! Kojo's got a defensive line dug in just beyond the tree line!
Gameplay in Call of Duty World at War is the same quality gameplay that you get in Call of Duty 4. Now, this is mainly because, as I said, they have tried very hard to be Call of Duty 4, except in World War II. The portrayal of characters and stuff like that is almost exactly the same, just obviously older. This is a good and a bad thing, because Call of Duty 4, as we know, had an excellent single player. It was a little bit short. There were a few, you know, little small issues there, but for the most part that was just an excellent single player game, one of the best first person shooters ever created, I'm willing to say. World at War tries to emulate this, I guess you could say. Problem with it is, it falls back on some old design techniques in games that I really thought we'd gone past. These namely being, enemies will continuously spawn until you move on, your AI buddies are completely fucking useless. I've sat there and watched 5 of my guys with, you know, various forms of rifles and machine guns shoot away at just one guy standing out in the open, and it took them about 2 minutes to kill him. It was just, you know, unimpressive, I guess you could say. You really think we would be, you know, past this in game design, but for some reason they decided it was a good idea. As I've said with the progression though, it's really fast-paced if you play it that way. You can just hunker down and then eventually things will slow down to a crawl as enemies trickle to you and you slowly pick them off. But if you play the game and you're, you know, really pushing your advance and stuff like that, it's really fast-paced, really fun, you get caught up in the action. For some reason, however, the last third of the game apart from the last level, feels like it was made by a completely different company. There's the last Marine Raiders mission just feels crap, to my opinion. I don't know why this is. I mean, I played through it again since then in cooperative, and it was great fun. But initially, when I played through it on my own, it just was, painful to play through because it was annoying. And there are a few, trademark sequences that they've definitely pulled and obviously changed to the World War II setting from Call of Duty 4. These mainly being the first Russian level, which is quite good, is a little bit of a play on the sniper level in Call of Duty 4 in Chernobyl. And this level you're seeing right now is similar to the gunship mission in Call of Duty 4, except you're in a naval Black Cat plane, and you have to use the guns to, take out some ships and then rescue some survivors from another fleet and stuff like that. Overall, these are probably the best bits of the game because they are really, really well done. They put a lot of polish.
Outstanding, Marines! Out-fucking-standing!
Call of Duty World at War is a very brutal game, much more so than its predecessors. This is obviously because they wanted to convey the brutality of World War II more so than has been done in other games, especially the Pacific conflict. Now you're going to see this in a few different forms. One, the main and most visible one to you is going to be the flamethrower. This is a weapon that's available in single player and multiplayer. In the single player though, it has devastating effect. Enemies, when you light them on fire, will scream and run around and stuff like that, and they go to their gruesome end. Same can be said with higher caliber weapons. You will, let's say you're using a mounted machine gun or one of the portable heavy machine guns, you will fire at someone and hit them in the arm, and that arm is going to come off, and heads will come off. And you will shoot someone's leg off and they'll fall to the ground screaming, and you won't actually be able to, shoot them to put them down. You can also, run up to people if your weapon has a bayonet and bayonet them. It's really, really brutal. You'll also get bayoneted, is about to happen. The sound is pretty good. Sometimes, for some reason, though, it didn't feel right. Some of the weapons, for the most part, the weapons are good, but some of them feel out of place sometimes. I'm not really sure how I came to that conclusion, but it's just sometimes the weapons sound and feel great and really powerful and stuff like that, and other times you're just feeling, what the hell am I using this pea shooter for? But on the downside, the game is, well, not really, there isn't that much of a downside. I was going to say the game, is too much like Call of Duty 4, but Call of Duty 4 was a fantastic game. Obviously, this is not Call of Duty 4. They have tried really, really hard to emulate that in World War II, and for the most part it works. However, it is too damn short. I finished the game in 3.5 hours on normal. However, co-op provides a shitload of replayability, especially the Nazi zombie mode, which is buckets of fun. My personal record as of yet was done with complete random people. I just joined in and we got to level, I think it was 15 or 16 or something like that. You'll really, want to test out the co-op. Multiplayer is exactly the same as Call of Duty 4. It's great, but it's all been done before. I give the game an 8 out of 10. I was going to give it a 5, but after playing it a lot longer, it is a great game on its own.